The latest loco to join the fleet on Peckforton Light Railway is a Manning Wardle 040 saddle tank. It caused quite a stir when it first raised steam outside the loco shed at Beeston Market Station. Built in 1904, it was originally named Anita, and, after doing a stint at Elliott's Metals in Bury Port, it was used by the contractors Pauling & Co. to construct, amongst other things, the Gwynfawr Dam and Reservoir in South Wales. Numbered 31, renamed Enzo and sporting Peckforton Light Railway's standard loco livery of Brunswick Green, the motive power staff are preparing the loco for its first day's duties, whilst the morning mixed departs, pulled by Care Stewart loco number 23, Bunbury. For its first outing, it has been decided that Enzo will haul a short special train transporting Lord Tollmache to his residence at Peckforton Castle. This will give driver George Watson an opportunity to get to know the loco and its capabilities and idiosyncrasies. It also gives me a chance to tweak the loco's mechanism, as it's a bit of an experimental prototype. Things seem to be going well for both of us, as the short special train approaches Guano Junction on its way to Beeston Castle. Our special train now arrives at the impressive, if somewhat dilapidated, gatehouse for Peckforton Castle. That turret looks decidedly dodgy. Driver Watson eases to a halt beyond the junction, and then, once his guard, Jimmy Lawton, has reset the points, our train can be reversed into the entrance to the castle grounds. How's that for door-to-door service, my lord? Our special waits for the mixed train to storm past, on its way up the line to Beeston Castle, and thence on to Beeston Market Station. There is telephonic communication between the estate office and the station master at Peckforton Station, and so, once the line is clear, the special is given permission to enter Peckforton Station so our loco can run round its train for the return trip up the line. Having run round, driver Watson awaits the all clear to proceed up the line. As the railway's main benefactor, Lord Tollmache is given special dispensation to use the railway as and when he feels the need. He sometimes rolls up his sleeves and steps onto the footplate for a bit of driving. Arriving back at Beeston Market, driver George feels satisfied that the loco is performing well, and so Enzo is assigned a more responsible task, the daily pick-up goods. If all goes well, the sprightly little loco may next be given responsibility for a passenger train. In the meantime, Care Stewart loco number 23 Bunbury takes out the mid-morning down passenger train. This loco is modelled on the Metropolitan Water Board loco Sunbury, which served the waterworks at Kew, regauged for Peckforton Light Railway's 3-foot metals. Incidentally, the impressive steam-powered pumping engines at Kew were used as the engine room for the epic Titanic film A Night to Remember. Having assembled its train, our loco waits patiently on the goods loop as IP Engineering loco number 8 Winford arrives with an up ore train and empty gunpowder van also in tow. With the way ahead now clear, Enzo makes a spirited departure with its train of a covered open wagon, a flat wagon of tarpaulin-covered barrels, an ex-Southwold Railway van, and 2 timber wagons with logs destined for the Sawmill at Peckforton. Our train is now on the approach to Beeston Castle Station. Although it's early March, spring is already beginning to make an appearance. The train pulls into Beeston Castle Station, with the entrance to the castle visible in the background. No shunting is required at this station on the downward journey, and so we wait for the arrival of the up passenger train. We can now proceed down the line towards Peckforton Station. In the brewery siding, there is a Southwold Railway two-plank open wagon loaded with barrels. This will be picked up later, as it's easier to shunt in and out of up-facing sidings when the train returns up the line. At Peckforton Station once more, our train pulls into the passing loop. If you recall, we have two timber wagons which need to be dropped off into the Sawmill siding. Fortunately, the Sawmill has its own Ruston Proctor paraffin loco, which can handle the shunting, so driver George can relax a little and get to know his new loco. As Ruston Proctor loco number 28 Greg busies itself with removing the timber wagons and shunting on an open wagon loaded with sawn timber, we can catch up on the origins of the two locos in these video clips. The 3D printed body for the Ruston Proctor loco was downloaded from Shapeways as a GN15 model. It needed to be adapted to fit onto a 45mm gauge powered chassis, which I designed and 3D printed using Bachmann 24.5mm diameter wheel sets and a GA25 370 geared motor. Parts for the Manning Wardle loco were designed using Tinkercad, then 3D printed. The Bachmann Porter loco chassis I had intended to use proved to be unsuitable, and so I designed and 3D printed my own, using the Porter loco's wheels and yet another GA25 370 geared motor. With shunting operations completed, the pickup goods can depart Peckforton Station and continue down the line towards Buckley Station. The GA25 370 gearbox motor is sufficiently powerful to handle a light load such as this, and it took the wagons happily up the 1 in 40 incline. However, I doubt it could manage a much heavier train. With no shunting needed at Buckley, the train pressed on to Peckforton Station, the furthermost terminus of the line. Some small adjustments were needed on the outward journey to improve the mesh of the bevel gears, transferring the drive from the motor to the axles, but overall I was pleased with how well the loco had performed. By the time shunting had been completed at Peckforton Station, it was time for the down midday passenger train to arrive. Apologies for the radio-controlled points switcher showing up on the left in this shot. Normally, I'm very careful that unwanted items don't encroach into video scenes. Having dropped off the flat wagon and picked up two empty coal wagons, including an ex-Southwold Railway Clemenson 6-wheel wagon and a short wheelbase Southwold Railway van, our train begins its journey back up the line. At Buckley, on the return journey, some shunting is required. The covered open wagon and the two Southwold Railway vans need to be dropped off, and a van and a couple of A-type containers on flat wagons need to be picked up. By the time shunting was over, the up passenger from Peckforton was due to arrive. As our train was occupying the up loop, the passenger train was forced to take the down loop. Fortunately, Station Master Twiss was well up to speed with such goings-on, and everything went according to plan. After the passenger train had departed, our goods needed to wait until the section ahead was cleared. Timetable passenger services have to take priority, but our driver was quite happy to wait and pass the time of day with Station Master Twiss, who was more than interested in the railway's latest locomotive acquisition. Having passed through Peckforton station with no shunting required, our train now arrives once more at Beeston Castle, where, if you remember, the 2-plank open loaded with barrels needed to be picked up from the brewery siding. A relatively straightforward manoeuvre, carried out with minimal effort by driver George and his now favourite loco, number 31, Enzo. We are now on the approach to Beeston Market Station and our journey's end. The loco threw up a few teething troubles which needed to be sorted out during the session, and another couple which might need further investigation, related to a gauging issue with the loco's driving wheels. However, I'm very pleased with the railway's latest addition to the loco fleet. When I planned my garden railway, I decided I would only ever need 3 locos and maybe a 4th as a reserve. Now, 20 years and 31 locos later, I'm already thinking about my next loco build. I do seem to enjoy constructing and running locos.